Hello, and welcome to Knights of the Night Actual Play Podcast. This 5th edition D&D game, The Heretic, was written and run by your DM, Scott. And now, please enjoy episode 477, titled, You Hear a Distant Ditto. Actual play begins immediately.
Hello, I'm Scott, your DM tonight for this 5e adventure, The Heretic. With me tonight, on my right, is...
I am Michael, playing Brother Byron, a human acolyte, utilizing the Grave Domain and newly made Fist of Amira.
I'm Tom, playing Aldarusha, a human male cleric / multi-class creature, who is now a member of the Fist of Amira.
Hi, I'm Mike, playing Marduk, a male half-orc fighter, graduate of the Academy, and new Fist of Amira.
I'm Jim. I'm playing one of the newly knighted Fists of Amira. His name is Grodor, who is a warlock. He's a skinny male hobgoblin from Dolgug. He's a Rhodes Scholar searching for truth and knowledge.
I'm John, playing Melody, a female human cleric, the third child of an exemplar family Harmony, ex-ambassador turned political operative.
I'm Thomas. I'll be playing Gabrielle d'Angelis. She's a female human paladin and a holy fist of Amira on a mission to the Hollowlands.
In our last session, it started with Grodor having a dream from his patron that awakened him and keyed him into some danger that several of the fists were in within the Reverent Wield, specifically Brother Byron and Melody. The 4 remaining fists, with Grodor's patron guiding them, led them into the forest and to the site of a battle that was taking place between 2 redcaps, evil fae that are born from blood. A quick, vicious battle ensued in which the redcaps were dispatched, although not without doing quite a bit of damage themselves, as 3 of the heroes fell during the battle and had to be revived with magic. But in the end, the heroes won, and the redcaps were dispatched back from whence they came. Aranis is lying on the ground, bloodied, but having just been stabilized by Brother Byron. Standing nearby is Marduk, who had done a considerable bit of damage to the last redcap. Marduk, go ahead and give yourself 1 inspiration.
I got lucky. It was a critical.
It was a critical
hit, and because of me being an orc, it was a savage strike.
And then Gabrielle came and finished off the redcap with an amazing bit of damage of her own. So, Gabrielle, give yourself an inspiration. Standing nearby, looks like Melody, Grodor, Alder, and the Wood Elf Druid. Also, Grodor, give yourself an inspiration for that wicked Eldritch Blast you did to start the battle. And I don't know that I gave you one during the battle, but I certainly want to give one after you're kind of gathering yourself and thinking about what just took place. You are fired up with a lot of inspiration at the amount of damage you were able to cause. So you 3 specifically in that battle did some things that were amazing. And I think you deserve inspiration. Not that anyone else didn't do amazing things, but those 3 kind of stood out to me during the battle as worthy of additional inspiration. Vidania healed Gabrielle, and she is going to walk up to Aranis, and I believe she still has slots, so she's going to do some healing unless someone's stopping her. Oh, you know what, Brother Byron? I wanted to give you an inspiration as well, if you don't have one already.
I have one already.
You do?
I didn't use it, yeah.
Let's say you could have up to 3 as a house rule for right now. And so you'll be at 2 inspiration right now moving forward, because when Aranis was bleeding out on the ground and you went up to do ability check or skill check, you rolled a natural 20. And not only did you stop him from bleeding when he was bleeding out, but you also brought him back to consciousness, which technically shouldn't be possible, but when you roll a 20, it's got to be something good.
Okay, cool.
Well done, everyone. I really appreciate how well fought this battle was, and I look over at Gabrielle and nod and kind of mouth a thank you. and also talk to Vidania and thank her for her help as well.
Is there a proper way to dispose of these creatures?
Do we need to clean the blood, or does it not count as innocent?
Yes, Arnis, you know this better than any of us. Is it possible that these creatures that were brought by blood would be brought again? Plenty of us bled here in this battle. Is that something we should be concerned about?
Vidania does a healing. She places her hands on him. She has, in her fists, she has herbs and leaves, and she rubs them into his wounds, and a light, very light, pale glow occurs, and you can see the blood rush back into Aranis's countenance because he was absolutely at death's door. You ask your question, Alder, and it's actually Vidania who places a hand on Aranis's shoulder, and she speaks. She says in common, because I don't believe you speak Elvish, and she knows that from her brief meeting with you.
No, I've
earlier.
been speaking common the whole time. I do not speak Elvish.
She says, I sensed something. I thought it might be the soldiers and the strife from earlier in the day. But I definitely sensed something, and I shouldn't have ignored it. I don't sense it any longer. I think they are gone for good.
That's good.
And she stands up and she walks over to Gabrielle, and she puts one hand on each shoulder, and she looks directly into your eyes and says, thank you. And then as Aranis picks himself off the ground and kind of is dusting himself off, Vidania works her way over to Marduk. And you're much taller and intimidating, and she's very shy, and she places one hand on your hand and looks up at you and says, thank you. And then she walks over to Brother Byron, and she walks to you tentatively, and like she puts out a hand to touch you, and then she reaches and hugs you. It's quick and it's awkward, but that's just who she is. She's very awkward and shy, and she backs away quickly. She has her eyes down when she says thank you to you. Then she walks over towards Aranis, and Aranis is still kind of picking up his sword that he dropped when he was felled, and picking up his longbow and checking it for damage. And he's being kind of quiet, not aloof, but just kind of
businesslike.
Yeah, like it's a battle and these things happen and people did what they were supposed to do is how he's reacting to it. But it certainly isn't cold, or he's not like not making eye contact. He just, this is what happened, and that's how you see him reacting to what occurred tonight.
Yeah, I'm just looking around and wonder at these trees because we just kind of rushed in here. We're getting our first chance to actually look around. And this is the first time I've ever been in a forest like this.
Yeah, I would say it's true.
The only forest I've known, it was the one closest to my house, was the Cinderwald, so this is a big difference.
Yeah, this is healthy. This is magical, but not, it's like fey magical. It's definitely a completely like 180 degree different experience than when you set foot in the Cinderwald.
Right.
So yes, I'm sure you could be awed for a bit and just kind of take in the beautiful trees and the beautiful dancing lights and the creatures that are still stirring about even after the battle. That you hear rustling in bushes and you could see deers moving through the undergrowth, and it's alive. The whole forest is just absolutely alive.
Grodor, I have a question for you.
Shoot.
You were the one that warned us that something was happening, and I don't know how you knew that. Thank you for saving our friends, but do you sense anything else? Are we safe?
I'm not getting anything else. I had a dream, and I believe that my Patreon kind of was giving me a different view of what's going on in the area. I actually saw the creatures come out of the ground and head into the woods, and then it was kind of her that was leading us to where they were going. It's bizarre, because I've never had my patron ever
Your patron?
give me that sense like that before.
You mean Amira?
No. The person I am bound to for my warlock magic. Us warlocks, we have patrons that help us learn our way through the magic. Give us our spells and our power, and
they tell you in dreams how to do it?
Sometimes they do. I didn't know this was a way she could help me, but...
And can you ask her questions?
Not really. Maybe sometimes I can interact with her maybe a little bit when I'm doing my nightly ritual and resetting my spells, but it's more of a one-way feed.
Well, whoever they are, I thank them as well.
Yeah, it's interesting that I think there's a lot more writing on this trip we're taking than just picking up some random items.
These are not the first dreams. We've all had different
You had some, Marduk?
I hold up my spear and show him. This spear came to me in a dream. It seems that Amira, they're reaching across boundaries and barriers to touch us again.
Seems I need to work on my dreams. Impressive.
Me too.
As the fists of Amira gather together and have a conversation in this forest clearing, you notice, as you look around, you can see that Vidania and Aranis are back over by the fading embers of the fire. And they look to be having a very quiet, yet very heated conversation between the two of them. Nothing you can hear. It's very low and very quick in their Wood Elvish dialect, but they're definitely talking about something that looks like they're not quite of the same mind.
I kind of look at Brother Byron and nod my head in the direction of where their conversation is going on. Like, I don't feel comfortable going over there, and I don't even understand Elvish.
For that matter, I heard these creatures speaking to Aranis. I could not understand it. I don't wish to pry into their affairs. I was just wondering if these creatures were saying then if it had any import.
They're born of innocent blood spilt in anger, and Aranis is guilty of that.
What were those little creatures? What
yeah,
do you have a name for them?
Redcaps.
In my vision, they definitely came from the blood that was spilt in the battle, in that fight.
That makes sense. Up. And clearly he's got some anger issues to work through because this could happen again.
My character, Alder, kind of looks at Marduk with a little frustration when he says he doesn't want to get involved and bother them while they're having a discussion, because that's what my character likes. He wants to know everything. So he's a little frustrated. But he agrees and stays where he is. But he was suggesting Brother Byron head over there and maybe we could find something out.
Well, Mel's not going to interrupt them, but with as much knowledge as she's willing, or she imparts there, is enough to hopefully satisfy folk.
I do appreciate the information. Definitely.
Okay, Byron's going to look over in that direction, which he probably was already doing anyway occasionally, and see how long is this going on?
Your conversation lasted maybe around 3 to 5 minutes, and they walked away while you were talking. You noticed them separate and go over towards the fire, and then they started a conversation. So they've probably been, for lack of a better term, arguing for 3 minutes, 2-3 minutes at this point. So it's not short. It's not like a 30-second conversation and it's done. There's definitely some friction between them.
Yeah, I don't want to go blundering over there at this time, so.
I'm going to go blundering over there at this time. I think an argument that's lasted for 3 minutes is an argument that could be interrupted. I'm going to go talk to them. Gabrielle lunges up from her seated position to go bother their conversation.
They're still heated in their discussion. It's very low, like hissed whispering, but with anger and with force. Mm-hmm. And as you approach, they both stop, not knowing who speaks Elvish and who doesn't. Aranis looks over and coolly says, not with anger, but just coolly says, "May I help you?"
I was wondering the same. You two seem to be having a disagreement.
I was wondering if there was something we can help you guys discuss or figure out.
While We very much appreciate your help and very much appreciate what you've done here tonight. I think this is something that needs to be resolved between Vidania and me.
I'll look to Vidania to see what her opinion is on that. Just
Right. Yes.
motive.
Go ahead and make insight checks, please, both of you.
Oh yeah, I got nothing. I rolled a total of 8.
13.
Gabrielle, you look at her and you just can't quite suss out what she's feeling at this exact moment. In your mind, Grodor, you think she is angry, which is a new emotion. You never saw her angry so far into this moment, and determined to get her point across is what you think you see in her face.
Right.
She looks at you and says in her halting common, much like Aranis' halting common, we will finish in but a moment, and then we will gather together.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt your conversation then.
It is okay.
We're here if you guys need us.
While Gabrielle and Grodor are over there, I look at Marduk. We should gather the horses up. I don't know where the one is. I can see.
The one I rode is shied away from battle, so I'll round her up.
I think that was Chestnut, and I will get the other one, just so we could know where they are and that they're safe.
This night's not over, right?
No, this is just after midnight, so you're talking about literally 12:15, just after midnight. You'd have not gotten a long rest. You've gotten barely any rest at all. Right around now is when Vidania and Aranis finish speaking. It doesn't take an insight check to know that he is not happy at all and angry. Vidania looks resolute. Aranis hangs back by the fire. Vidania approaches the grouping of you as I think some of you are grouped together. I think maybe Marduk had gone to get the wayward Chestnut.
I had gotten Silas that was close by. Brought him back to everyone else quickly.
Okay. Both of you just make quick animal handling rolls to make sure that the horses don't get spooked.
Oh, crap. You're going to make me make an animal? Okay.
So you say.
Yeah.
Easy to roll.
It is dark. I use my night vision, or my dark side.
Chestnut spooks a little bit Marduk when you try to get her. And
I rolled a 12.
yeah, as far as Alder goes, Silas is gathered up, maybe still under the effects of that wonderful spell that Gabrielle had put him under. One more roll, Marduk, just to see if you can steady Chestnut.
I rolled an 18.
Excellent. Without too much trouble, you kind of work your way into the woods a little bit, a little away from the group, but are able to gather up Chestnut and bring her back safely to the rest of the group. And at that point, Vidania is standing before you, and in her halting common, she says, we must go. It is important for Aranis to visit the Silver Oak to make amends for what happened tonight. We both thank you again for your help earlier in the day and now. And if we can repay the favor, and she looks directly at Brother Byron, she says, just show the feather and the wood elves will help.
You don't need an escort to get to your location?
It is deep within the woods, and it is a sacred site. She's kind of feeling a little bit awkward. And
I completely understand. It's okay. I just am concerned about your safety, but I think you certainly know this woods better than we do.
Yes, and we will be safe in our woods now that the danger has passed. Aranis will make his amends, and we will learn and grow from this experience.
Is the pilgrimage to the Silver Tree a singular journey, or do you both go together?
It is a journey that I will take with him. You need
A guide?
Yes, a guide to take you there if you are not already one of the Chosen.
I hope you guide him well. And
I will.
See you both when you get back sometime.
I'm sure our paths will cross again. And she looks again at Brother Byron at this point.
I smile back.
She looks earnest and very serious about that statement. Safe travels wherever they may take you. And at that, she turns her back slowly and walks back to Aranis, who is gathering up his bedroll and equipment that was near the campsite. She puts out the fire, and they both head deeper into the woods. And that leaves the six of you in the clearing with your two horses.
I think we're going to have to walk the horses back unless anybody needs to ride. I don't believe anyone's injured, are you?
I am minor injuries, but I'll sleep it off. I'm not worried about that.
Well, I'm going to have to come back with you folks. I lost my companions.
It's understandable, Melody, but we can't really have 3 people on each horse, so we're going to...
I know, I'm walking. That's fine. I walked a lot in my days.
We start walking back.
All right. And the idea strikes you that camp is breaking probably 5 hours from now, because you're sleeping in their tents. So you're probably going to be roused awake and not be able to get a long rest if you stay in the camp. But you guys can decide how you want to handle the fact that you need a good 8 hours, 6 hours of sleep, but 8 hours of time total to get the benefits of the long rest.
I'm going to be honest, it's going to be hard to sleep after that.
I agree.
I can see you getting started early and just trying to mend wounds before heading out.
I don't think anyone would object. We might want to say our goodbye to the captain, but I'm sure he'll wake up shortly after sunup. Wait, it's like midnight. That's a long time from now.
Yeah, I do not have a problem with us leaving camp and maybe moving a bit down the road and camping with the woods to our backs so we don't have to be too careful. I don't think anything's going to come out of there.
No, it's a fairly tame area. You know this, that, it's not like there's huge monsters prowling the Reverend Weald. There are parts of it that are more dangerous than others, from growing up in the area, but it's not something that's a constant source of evil and danger.
My point being that we don't necessarily need to sleep for 8 hours, but some of us need to rest and speak to Amira and others. He looks over at Grodor.
Who looks and nods?
Because I, for one, I'm depleted as far as being able to heal any of you if we ever run into something aggressive. And I believe Brother Byron is as well.
He is, yes.
I'm a full half of the magic that Amir provides to me.
So I have no problem with breaking camp and heading away so that when they leave in the early morning, it doesn't disturb us.
Okay, that can work.
So I'm going to just assume that you guys are going back to the camp, hitching the horses back up to the wagon, packing things up, and by 1 or 1:15 a.m., you're ready to depart. Is there anything you want to do before you leave the camp?
I'm going to jot a quick note and leave it on the table next to the captain's. There's a table outside of his tent.
Yeah, there's a small table there. There's 2 guards outside his tent that are staying awake during the night. So, yeah.
And then I could just hand it to the guards. That's fine.
Okay.
Telling him that we must leave, unfortunately, and please pass this note to the captain when he is awake. Is basically thanking him for his kindness and his generosity, etc. That's about it.
Okay. Great. How far down the road are you guys going? Are you going to go just across the way to the place where...
Further down the road, just to stay away from exactly a place of violence we just inhabited.
That's fine for that reason, but also when they're packing up the camp, who knows who's going to wander out of it, and this is a little too close.
Okay. So I'm going to say you head down the road about an hour to about 2 a.m.
Right, we are heading east along the path. We're going to be heading through the Iron Sword Pass. Is that our intent?
Yes, that's the intent. And you're heading towards your third day of travel, which will end where the two roads converge. The road that goes off to the southwest and the road that continues on, the south way that you're on now. And the Wheeled Way is the name of that other road that goes past Wayfarer's Rest and down to the Pinnacles.
Grodor, you lived in the Cinderwold for a portion of your life.
Oh, I've been there, yeah.
Did you ever hear anything similar to Redcaps, where innocent blood is spilled and terrifying creatures come to haunt your days?
I have not.
Okay. Maybe it's a different connection.
There was definitely something that they weren't familiar with either, so I'm wondering what changed or why this seemed to happen this time.
I don't know about...
I'm sure blood has been spilt before.
You're right. But Danya was the one who taught us about how they're formed, so she must have known about them, at least in folklore. Maybe I missed a moment when she mentioned that they haven't been around.
Mel mentioned it as well. And then when Vidania was arguing with Aranis and was saying he had to make retribution, you kind of put two and two together.
Yeah.
So she obviously knew something about them. She wasn't totally taken by surprise.
Yeah.
I think what she was surprised by was the fact that they were there at all. Not who they were or why they were there, but the fact that they occurred. I think she was surprised that Aranis had that type of anger in him.
All right. I was just curious if Redcaps were confined solely to the Reverend Wield, or if all magical forests had a chance of spawning them if blood was spilled. Innocent.
While the veil stops larger things from coming through, there are places with connections to other planes still. This Redcap came from the Feywild, and because it was small enough, it could slip through. Any place aligned with the Fey might have a similar chance. I believe the solution of bringing Aranis to the sacred site is to try to cure him of the rage that can cause these sorts of things.
I thought it was just a personal penance ritual for the Wood Elves, but I'm not.
And maybe a little of both, but...
They're a bit secretive. No, I spent some time in the Reverend Wield.
You can't just get rid of emotions. I don't think that's what they plan to do, but it is indicative of something that could be a problem in the future for him. Best handle it now, especially if you live in a place this close to the Feywild all the time.
A journey of spiritual growth can allow for one to grow beyond their own feelings. Might be the point of the ritual.
Hopefully.
This is the perfect place for campsite.
You found it.
There's a burnt-out fire from somebody having used it. She puts her hand to the ground. Oh, those are not very warm at all. Must have been more than a couple nights ago. And we begin to set up camp.
And so setting up camp an hour down the road, you have left the battalion behind. The battalion probably, you passed by tent after tent after tent for probably the first 15, 20 minutes of your travels, since the battalion's 1,000 strong at least. And the next 45 minutes are spent putting yourself into a much more quiet area where there's not an army camped. There's a little bit of distance between you and the Weald. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe a couple hundred. At this juncture where you stop, there's a couple hundred feet between you and the Weald. And there's just a smattering of small trees and such that you can kind of pull the horses over to and make camp for the night. If I could just get an idea of where everyone is sleeping, I would appreciate that, please.
We will probably have a banked fire. It won't be like roaring flames. It'll be banked flames. And Marduk was accustomed to environmental hardships, so he will be outside.
Okay. He's sleeping outside the cart. 2 people who could fit into the cart if someone wants to sleep in the cart, and the rest can sleep out and about in the wilderness.
Yeah, Melody's going to read by the light of her soul shard for a bit until she drifts off and locks up the books inside the crate she has.
So you're claiming the other half of the cart? All right, Gabrielle's taking it on the grounds of, I got killed earlier. I mean, it wasn't actual murder, but...
You're right, that's awful, says Alder as he lays on the ground.
You want the other one? I don't mind.
I actually don't
Melody,
know how
I'm
badly
fine.
You got messed up. I do recall healing you a lot.
Yeah,
I just want to,
virtually dead.
And
I'm fine with that.
Normal thing. I want to study a bit to kind of prevent it.
I'm fine with that. I'm used to sleeping out in the wilderness. I'm not. I find it very uncomfortable.
I'm napping out on the deck that you sit on when you're riding.
Okay.
Bench kind of thing.
And the bench thing.
Yeah, that works
You're
good.
small enough.
All right. Everyone's going to take a 2-hour watch or so, 1 or 2 hour watch to.
Yeah, I
take you
believe
through
we
the night.
set a specific order last time, which was those that could see in the dark handling it. At least one person, that is Marduk and Grodor, so they can take like first shift, second shift with. Yeah, I guess the rest of us would have to just deal with it.
Yeah. So it's good that at least 2 of you can see in the dark. It should be noted that even 100 feet away from the road and 100 more feet to the Reverend Weald, you can still feel the Weald's pull. You can still feel the magic that is imbued in that great wood. It's not the same as being within it, but the pull is still there. For some of you, it might be a very comforting feel. For the other of you, it may be uncomfortable, but you do feel a sense of magic in the air, even 100 feet out from the wood. And the first watch passes. Is it okay to say Marduk is on the first watch?
Yes.
Maybe someone with him, maybe Brother Byron.
That's fine.
And then I think it was
Grodor for the second watch. Maybe with Alder.
Sure.
And then Gabrielle
Shift.
and Mel, the late night or early morning. Actually, it's going to be light outside by the time Gabrielle and Mel get their opportunities because it's so late when you're finally falling asleep. Brother Byron and Marduk make perception checks for the night. Marduk got a 13, which is a nice, good roll. The watch passes without incident.
Okay.
The second watch is going to be Grodor and Alder, if they both want to make a perception check.
Yeah, I'm not really there. I rolled a 4.
Well, you had a very rough evening, Alder, so it kind of makes sense.
Did.
I'm sleeping.
Grodor falls asleep with a natural 1, and Alder is not much better, dozing in and out. Luckily, you're in friendly territory and not a lot of dangers, so it passes without incident.
When I wake up before the end of the shift, I nudge Grodor and say, "Wake up, we're not admitting we fell asleep to anybody."
I was just resting my eyes.
Good.
I really should not have volunteered to go alone.
The other 2 shifts, Gabrielle, you want to make a roll?
Sure. Total of 2, because I rolled a 2 and I have +0. I don't have a high wisdom score.
We are in such a friendly area that it does not matter again. And that takes us to Mel.
Much better.
If a 9 is much better, it's bad news, but that's what I got.
Well, it's better than a 2 or a natural 1.
You could tell the group is pretty bushed.
Yeah, it's been a rough day on the road. You're not used to being on the road quite as often, or it's been a while for some of you since you've been on the road. There was wounds and bruises and battering and staying up incredibly late. It was definitely reflected in your ability to get through the various shifts of watching. But it's about 11 o'clock in the morning, 10 or 11 in the morning. By the time the 8 hours pass, everyone heals all of their hit points. If you are a magic user of any sort, all your spell slots are regained. And no one spent any hit dice on healing during a short rest, so you don't have to worry about getting any hit dice back.
Yeah.
And day 3 starts. The third day of travel is probably the loneliest yet. You're 50, 60 miles outside of Temerity. The only passing people on the Southway are caravans heading towards the capital. And those are few and far between in the sense of it's not like you're passing a caravan every hour. There's certainly every couple hours a major caravan heading towards the capital. You don't see another army group or battalion or group of soldiers on the third day. It's just caravan after caravan. Because you started so late, your 8 hours of travel ends up being closer to 7 or 8 in the evening. And in the end of the third day, you come to the intersection of the Weald Way and the south way. And at that juncture is a small town, large village, named Casserint. Casserint has a caravansary, so it's made to be a stopping point for an evening's worth of travel. It certainly is a boisterous village. There's lots of people in the street at 7 or 8 at night. The caravansary has quite a few caravans parked there for the night. It's not as big as the ones in Temerity, of course, but there's an atmosphere, a lively atmosphere in Casserint. You can stop here, or you can continue to go for another hour or so, which would be the true end of your day, and you could take your rest outside of the village limits, or you could pull into the caravansary for the night. Your choice.
Marduk, I assume you want to keep going.
I can press on.
Yeah, I don't think we need to refuel or resupply since we just recently left, so I think we're good to keep going.
And you would prefer to be somewhere other than a small town? We won't have to have a watch when we're here. If we're staying, is there an inn here or somewhere we could stay?
The caravansary usually has an inn attached to it, so it's got a place to park the caravans.
Do we, as Fifths of Amira, have obligation or responsibilities that we should be aware of?
As far as responsibilities when you're coming into a village, they leave it up to you to decide.
Then I would suggest perhaps Alder is right that we stop here. This is probably an opportunity to recognize Veil Day, do what we need to do, and also kind of represent properly.
We might be able to gather some intel on the road ahead, too.
Not a bad idea.
Okay, so you can park at the caravansary for the evening based on your one wagon. It's usually 5 silver per wagon.
I'll take it.
Okay. The inn itself is called Well Met. And Well Met is a large inn. At least 6 or 7 caravans are parked in the caravansary for the night. The guardsmen that are guarding the caravans, the merchants, sometimes their families, are all at the inn, getting dinner, enjoying some drinks, playing some Holy Bones, which is a game with dice. It's a traveler's delight. There's good food, comfortable rooms. There's a festive atmosphere.
I'd talk to the inn owner.
The innkeep is a tall, burly human by the name of Hugh Glenfellow.
Mr. Glenfellow, how are you?
I am well. How about yourself?
It's been a weary day, lots of travel, and I'm wondering if we could possibly acquire a couple rooms, because you see, we are members of the Fist of Amira, and I show him, which I don't know if it's going to have any effect, but I'm going to try. I show him the medallion that I have, and we need one room that could just house 2 of us. But then I'm sure you have larger rooms that could house a large family. I would like one of those as well. What are we talking about price-wise here?
For a large family, we're pretty booked tonight. As you can see, there's quite a few caravans traveling through the area.
We're not a large family. We're only talking about 4 individuals. So that's not a huge family.
So you're looking for 1 2-person room and 1 4-person room?
Correct.
Okay, the 4-person room will be 8 silver for the night, and the 2-person room will be 4 silver for the night. And that's just for the room. If you want to order dinner, that's something separate.
All right. I give him 2 gold pieces and say, we would also like some food sent up to the room, just so we can eat in private and have a little bit of relaxation. It's been a busy day. I'm sure we'll probably come down and enjoy the festivities here.
Yes, it's a festive night. We always enjoy your company in the bar.
2 gold should be enough to cover both the rooms and a meal, no?
Yeah, a small meal for each of you. Nothing too extravagant.
No, it's important that we have a good meal to give us the energy, because we are the Fist of Amira, and it's important for us to be out there with strength and determination to keep you all safe. So I slide him a 3rd gold piece.
Wow, his eyebrows raise up, and he's like, thank you very much. We will send up some fine ale to fortify you as well with your dinner.
My friends have been through a lot. They could use a fine dinner and some good ale. Thank you.
Sure. So he calls back to the kitchen and gives you the keys to 2 rooms on the second floor, room 3 and room 7. Room 7 is the 4-person room, and room 3 is the 2-person room. He bids you farewell and goes back to his busy shift of making sure he takes care of the incredibly happy and exuberant crowd that he has gathered in his establishment this evening.
I take a quick look around the room, and I'm trying to see if I notice anybody that had been watching us do that in particular. Partially because I'm always concerned that someone's watching me and shouldn't be, but also the fact that I've dropped a few gold pieces, and you never know about thieves. I don't want one watching me and then saying, there's a target.
Go ahead and make a perception check.
I'm not necessarily good at this, but I'm going to try.
Who says you're not good at this?
I rolled a 21.
Yes. You notice there's a halfling sitting at a table by themselves in the corner of Well-Met's common room, the bar area, nursing an ale, eyes flickering towards you more than once. You think once, maybe just somewhat interested. Twice, well, we are Fists of Amira and present a pretty interesting group of people. But 3 times, now you're just interested in us. And you don't know why. But certainly that halfling was checking you out a little bit more than you thought necessary, yet isn't obvious. So I don't want to steam. It could just be interest, because again, you are a unique group of individuals. From that standpoint, I don't want to say he's licking his chops and rubbing his hands together like some nefarious criminal, but he's paid attention to you.
All right, so I go back to the group. I hand the key to the 2-person room to Gabrielle and Melody. I have room for you ladies. And gentlemen, we have a room that has 4 beds in it. It's room number 7. And I'll meet you up there in a moment.
Okay.
And we might come back down later to have some fun. But they're going to bring up some food and some drink as well. If they head up, that's fine. If they don't, I kind of lose myself in the crowd, rolling a stuff of 11 to come up on the halfling's table and attempt to surprise him by just jamming a knife into the table and getting really close to his face. In a thieves' cant, saying to him, "Be careful, my friend." Pull the knife out.
He's startled.
Yes.
He rolled a natural 1 with his
he
perception
himself
as he was watching the room. And he has his mug in front of his face, and he's kind of slouched down a bit in his chair, and he jumps a bit when the knife hits the table. A somewhat full beer kind of sloshes a bit off to the side and falls over the side of his glass. He looks at you. He seems to have regained his composure very quickly. He's startled but not fearful. But you speak in thieves' cant, and he just ever so perceptibly nods his head. Like, you almost thought you didn't see it, but you're pretty sure you saw it. And he sips his beer and stares off into the distance, not making eye contact with you.
And I wander up to room 7.
All right. The rest of you head up to the rooms for the night, or at least for dinner.
Melody's got a plan. I'm gonna tell Gabrielle before I head out.
I'm there for dinner, at least. What's
Okay.
the plan?
Yeah, I think I head up, mess with the food for a bit, and then say I gotta do something before it gets too late.
I was planning to go to the church. What's your thought?
There's a lot of caravans here. Some of them are gonna have supplies for the front lines. And some of them are gonna have stuff that we could use. A couple of us almost died last night, and I think we need more. I can't afford armor, but I could try to find some healing potions. I just want to have something in my back pocket in case that happens again. I don't want to stand there and not have an option.
It might not be a bad idea to learn a thing or two from Brother Byron about how to stitch our own wounds. Well, staunch our own wounds as well.
You could stitch him too.
Well, yeah, but that's not something you do in the midst of combat, while staunching wounds is something Gabrielle does not know how to do and would be a useful tool. But I myself need to check in on the church. Visit the officiant and, I guess, check in. Make a donation. That kind of thing.
Okay. The girls eat dinner while Mel actually pokes at hers and eats a little bit, but leaves a bit behind. Eventually, Mel, you disengage from the room and head out into the village or the small town.
Yeah.
Gabrielle, you finish your meal, finish your stout, head out as well? Or are you knocking on the gentleman's room to see if anyone wants to go with you?
Yeah, Gabrielle will knock on the gentleman's door. She leaves, invite. Brother Byron is the most likely, but she just calls out, I'm going to visit the church before I bed down for the night. Wondering if anyone else wants to come with?
Yeah, I'm in.
I will partner with you. I'll run escort and overwatch.
I will feel ever so safe.
Let the light of my spear guide us through this night.
Oh,
Nice.
it glows. I do recall.
Alder and Brother Byron or Grodor, any of you responding to Gabrielle's offer?
Seems like a lot of you are heading out. I can stay here and keep an eye on things here.
Okay.
I have had a bad night's sleep last night, so this is a much more comfortable bed.
It is a much more comfortable bed.
All right. Good luck, Alder. See you in a bit.
Okay, so Gabrielle, Marduk, and Brother Byron, Mel is off on her own. Mel, you head out into town, and by the time dinner's done, it's 9 p.m. So many of the shops in the village square.
My idea was actually to find it off the back of a wagon somewhere. One of the caravans heading north.
Oh, someone's trying to sell some wares or being surreptitious?
They might be being surreptitious, but I am going to pay for it. I would make an
Looking
offer,
for-
say, some of this fell off, it's not your fault, there's troubles on the road, I'm still going to pay you for it, maybe even a premium. Something to get you on your way.
I think you'd have better luck if you worked the common room, the ale room of the well-met inn.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because that's where the caravan masters are right now. And you can go around to each table and there's groupings and see if anyone has anything for sale. And that might be a better bet for you than going to the caravans themselves. Caravans are kind of locked up and guarded by the Soul Watch or the caravan guards themselves as well. So you've got a little bit going on there.
Okay.
So
you think
why don't
that's
you
investigation or persuasion?
let's go with persuasion.
That's a natural 20.
Oh, nice. And a 25 overall, right?
Yep.
Very impressive. You actually find someone who has healing potions as part of the caravan heading north, which are for the soldiers, but you guys you're Fists of
Soldiers
Mira.
too, yeah.
So you're a soldier too, and I can let it go for the low price of 50 gold.
Just some quick math on that.
It's pretty standard fare.
Okay.
If you were in a shop in Temerity, it would probably be around 50 gold. If you were in the hinterland somewhere like you are now, the price is usually a little bit higher because you're away from a major metropolitan area. But because you rolled so well and rolled a natural 20, I'm going to say that you're going to get the regular price,
Okay.
the big city price.
I'm going to drop enough for 2 of those.
Okay. He has one of his assistants walk you out to their caravan and gather up the 2 healing potions. He takes the gold, but has an assistant run out there with you, and you find yourself with 2 vials of healing potions. And you didn't even have to leave the bar.
Nope. I'm going to grab my food then and chill in, actually, the boys' room. Who's there still?
Alder trying to get some sleep. He ate dinner, and he's kind of crashed down in his bed right now.
Yeah, I nudge him.
I believe Grodor didn't want to go either, correct?
Right.
Okay, so Grodor and Alder are both in the boys' room, hanging out there.
Hey,
Well,
Melody,
if-
what's up?
Rodor's asleep, then I don't want to bug him, but Alder,
Don't bug me.
Yeah, I am, actually, yeah. These healing potions, I got 2 of them we didn't come down here with a lot, it was pretty steep, but I know where the caravan holding them is. And if we want some more, I just don't want a repeat of what happened earlier, you know?
How much did they cost?
They were 50 gold. I don't have enough for more. We might be able to scrounge together some, but I know you can be quiet.
Come now, you're not suggesting what we used to do as children.
No, we didn't steal healing potions from soldiers so that we could die
Well.
for the country.
I meant candy and such, but
No, this is much more serious, and that's why I bring it to you.
I do understand. If I have enough funds to buy one more, I don't think I'm going to borrow any additional ones from them.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to let you know.
No, I appreciate it.
Did you want to give the 50 gold to Mel to have her make the purchase for you, or did you want to go down and be introduced to the caravan master?
Heavy sigh as Elder gets out of bed. Yeah,
I
why
can
don't
make
you?
the purchase if you want. I just
No,
wanted to give you the option.
I have a thought. Perhaps we can do some gambling and get some more money.
Okay. What role am I going to play here? The dupe?
Perhaps as a distraction, but I don't know that it's necessary. I don't know what they're playing down there yet, but we can check
There's
it
definitely
out.
some holy bones, but we'll check it out.
Right.
Okay, and I'm going to switch at that point back to the other three, which is Brother Byron, Marduk, and Gabrielle, who head out into the small town where most of the businesses in the town square are boarded up for the evening. You know, lights are out, sign is taken off its hooks, no lights within the dwellings except maybe sometimes above them. But you do see on the other side of the town square the familiar white and blue tiles of a temple to Amira. And there is light within, and you may enter if you wish.
I will boldly do so.
Actually, I'll stand outside and kind of keep an eye on the entrance, but I'll keep an ear open for any shenanigans.
Okay. It is not a large temple by any stretch of imagination. It's one room that's a couple stories high and has a statue of Amira and a basin with some water and a bench there for kneeling and paying your respects. That's what you see. And the room is well lit with candles. It's got a wooden interior. It's pretty Spartan, but well kept and well maintained. The wood is polished. The water in the basin is clean. The statue is marble. It doesn't look aged at all. And in the corner is a middle-aged woman off to one side in the far corner with grayish hair. She's human. She is sitting there quietly in contemplation. She notices you come in, makes eye contact and nods, but doesn't stand.
Recognizing the solemnity, I suppose I'll... Not exactly sure. Is it like a holy water situation? Dip your hand?
Yeah, pretty much. You dip your hand in, you wipe it across your brow, you say a prayer to Amira, and then you touch the water again and wipe it across your brow when you're done. Water was the first thing that supposedly she created when she created the sphere. And so it's very important in dedicating to her. Water has a very prominent place in her worship.
And water to brow, and then Gabrielle begins to murmur and offer up prayers for the blessings Amira has given them these past few days, the visions that we've repeatedly received, once, twice, 2 different prophecies, though it may have come for Grodor from his patron. Still, I'm sure it was Amira's doing that we saw it when we needed to.
Right.
That it came to us instead of another servant of this patron. And prayers of thanks for the spear that has guided our way multiple times with its shining brilliance and helped so dearly against the red caps.
You hear a distant ditto.
Yeah, what she said?
Oh, that's a good idea.
What the priest lady said. Yeah, those prayers. Them the good ones.
And Brother Byron, what are you doing?
I do the water ritual and kneel down and just hanging there for a minute.
Great. Then so you do. After a short while, your reason for being there, at least as far as your prayers and your supplication goes, have been fulfilled. At this point, the woman with the gray hair and the somewhat plain features stands up and makes her way towards you and says, I am Priestess Macaria. Welcome to the Temple of Amira. I hope you found everything in order and your soul found peace in your prayers. I do, however, assure you that a guard is not needed at the door. And she smiles.
I'm sure there's no guard needed, but I'm not sure he'll ever be sure. He's rather hypervigilant.
Well, in these days, I guess that could be considered a good thing and a blessing as well. excuse me, I just noticed your emblem.
Mm-hmm.
I am honored to have Fists of Amira in our temple. Please accept whatever hospitality I can provide, and anything I can do for you, just don't hesitate to ask.
Sure. I was curious, how is your flock doing? Are their prayers ones of dire need, or is it peaceful here?
It is peaceful for the most part. The caravans can occasionally bring in individuals that don't hold Amira in the same high regard as the citizens of Kasserint do. But I think their major struggles right now are with her silence. I think it is endemic in the faith right now that people are questioning the silence. So there's doubt and there's fear and there's a war approaching. So there's much to talk about and much to console. But otherwise, I think the flock is doing well.
I can understand worry at her silence, but it may ease some minds to know that these Fists of Amira have received some personal guidance much more recently than we would have expected.
I hear that as my cue. I come in and I let it shine.
Okay. The runes shine in Celestial.
But the dreams led us to things true here in the real world, blessings that only Amira could have brought us. So perhaps there is hope, and perhaps you could share that news with your flock, that the hands of Amira are still guided by her. It might give them some peace. I can roll charisma if you want me to be all presenty about it, but I also feel like this alone is it's like an actual miracle.
Make a persuasion check to lift her spirits with advantage.
I rolled a 15, which is an 11 plus 4.
She listens to you and she seems a bit taken by your words. And then when Marduk comes in and brandishes the staff with the blade at the end of it and the celestial runes glow, there's a small audible gasp. She looks to both of you saying, "This was given by Amira herself?"
She led me to it.
And you're sure it was her? She spoke again?
I believe it was her.
What words did she say?
I relate to her and to whoever's listening the vivid dream sequence I had where I'm led through the fortification to unearth the spear from the ground, following her directions.
Right. Like the temerity of old.
Correct.
And you were guided to a half-built amphitheater, and buried in the amphitheater was this weapon, and you believe it was the dream speaking to you directly from Amira. And she's mesmerized by the story. You could see a sense of confidence and joy spread in her face as she is given this beacon, literally, of hope. Mm-hmm. And she thanks you both. She wants to know if you need, for your travels, if any holy water would be of value to you, because the holy water of Kasserint is said to be extremely effective and to be some of the holiest water that is produced in Amira's name. Mm-hmm. So she's offering you several vials as her thanks for imparting this hope upon her.
I would be overjoyed to carry some with me. You, Marduk? Think it might just come in handy at a moment.
All right.
And Brother Byron?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, free holy water.
Exactly. So she works her way to the back of the temple area. There's like a chest of drawers almost where she opens up and grabs 3 vials of holy water and gives one to each of you and blesses you with a standard Amiran prayer for your future endeavors, and hopes that Amira continues to guide you and shine upon you her benediction and her light in such an amazing way. She's just absolutely taken aback. She's flustered and thrilled and very happy to have met you.
I'm glad to have improved somebody's day today. Thank you for the use of your temple.
It's a small temple, but it's a temple nonetheless.
It's clearly been shown a lot of care.
Vicaria accepts your compliment with grace and then wishes you all a good evening and safe travels.
Mm-hmm. I leave a platinum behind in the donation box.
Ooh. Okay. There is a donation box by the door, and you flip in a platinum on your way out, and you head back at that point to the Well Met Inn. At this point, I believe we have Alder and Melody are back down in the bar area at this point, meeting with the caravan owner.
In going down, I do want to be at least pointed out, not necessarily introduced to the caravan owner. Instead, we were going to try to raise some money beforehand so that it would be easier. Now, I, the player, don't know about this game that you had mentioned, Holy Bones. However, I'm sure that Alder does. So,
yes.
What type of game is this specifically?
It is a game of chance. It is a game where you take 3 6-sided dice. They're white dice, hence the Holy Bones part of the phraseology, or the name of the naming convention. And you roll 3 dice 6. Everyone puts in a gold piece or a silver piece or whatever at the start of it. So there's usually between 3 to 5 players. And everyone puts in a certain amount of money. They ante up, if you will. At that point, everyone rolls 3 dice 6. You're trying not to go above 21. Now, of course, you can't go above 21 on your first roll. Then the next person to the left of you rolls 3 dice 6 around the table. Then the first person who rolled gets to choose whether they're going to stand or whether they're going to roll again. And they roll 1 die 6. And they keep doing that, trying to get as close to 21 as possible without going over. Basically, the person who has the highest point total that didn't bust takes the pot. There are 3 tables with dice inside of them, and people are standing around them off in one corner of the bar. You could easily join one of the games if you wish.
Melody, what do you envision as being a way to cheat in this?
I mean, weighted dice, obviously.
Usually, everyone rolls the dice that are provided by the bar. Now, it's not to say you couldn't slip one in through sleight of hand of your own weighted dice or a weighted die that rolls 6s much more often, or whatever number you would have it keyed to. Or you could just try your luck.
I think we're going to just start with trying our luck. And hopefully not having to go above
Also
and beyond.
Thaumaturgy, so there's that.
True. So we pitch in a gold piece and give it a try?
There is a table where it just broke up, and there's one person still remaining that wants to play. If you and Melody walk up, that's
enough to play.
That's enough to play. It's not enough to win big because all you're taking is his money, but it's a chance to get your feet wet at least and play the game. Each player agrees to an ante, so he's like, 2 gold?
Sure.
So he slides 2 gold and looking at you two to follow suit.
I do the same. Do I give Melody 2 gold so she can do the same?
No, I have the money. I ante up.
Okay, 6 gold is on the table. And Melody, you made your first roll. What did you get?
6, 6, and a 2.
For a total of 14.
I know what Melody did and did the same. I rolled 14. I rolled a 5-5-4.
And we look at each other. Yes, Unagi.
The nameless bar patron, who has not introduced himself, rolled a 15. And now it goes back to Melody. Melody, do you wish to add to your roll? Obviously you have to at this point because he has a roll higher than you. Right. So you need to make a roll. You rolled a 1, so you have 15. Now you get to decide, do you want to roll again or do you want to hold?
I'll roll again.
5, you now have a 20. Do you want to roll again or do you want to hold?
I'll hold there.
Okay, Melody holds at 20, Alder. It's your turn. You're at 14. I'm assuming you've got to roll again.
Yeah.
A 3, that takes you to 17. A 4 takes you to exactly 21, which cannot be beat. So you've got at least a tie of winning this pot. And so goes the nameless man. He has a 15. He's going to roll a die 6. He has a 16. He's going to roll again. He rolls a 5 for a 21. So you both split the pot, 3 gold each. And Melody, you're out too. And that is your first game of playing Holy Bones. But we'll just do a role-playing night tonight, not do any battles, and leave it for next week. Thank you, everyone, for playing tonight. It was a good role-playing session, so I liked everyone's backstories getting filled in even more, and even new stories coming out of some of the stuff that was done tonight. So good job, everyone. And thank you to our listeners. Appreciate you taking the time to carry along on the story with us, and have yourselves a great week. Be safe, and we'll see you here next week. Good night.
Thank you for listening to Knights of the Night Actual Play Podcast. If you'd like to send us a question, comment, or feedback, you can reach us in a number of ways, including Twitter @KOTN_podcast or by emailing us at feedback@KOTNpodcast.com. And don't forget the iTunes reviews. We also have a Facebook page which can be found at facebook.com/KOTN.podcast. While on Facebook, you can join like-minded folks at our fan page at facebook.com/groups/KOTNfan. And lastly, there's our blog at KOTNpodcast.com, where there's an Amazon link on the right-hand side. For those of you who'd like a more steady way to help us pay the bills, or if you live outside the U.S., you can help by donating to our Patreon page at patreon.com/KOTN. And please remember to join us next week for more mystery and adventure.
You're in character. Let me react.
Because that's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
The danger took place. Not the danger, but the
Altercation.
altercation. Thank you. Confrontation, altercation, both work perfect, and I couldn't think of either of them. Named Casserint. CASSERINT.
Sounds like a good idea.
You're not there.
Yeah, I think it was just the girls, Grodor, sorry.
Sorry.
But that does sound... Oh, wait.
Did you hear a goblin?
I think I did. These walls are very thin. That does sound like a good idea, though.
Knock on the wall. Get one for me.
There are 3 tables that are set up. They're kind of like octagonal. Is that right? Octagonal? Like 8-sided?
Octagonal, maybe?
Octagonal. Thank you. I knew I was saying it wrong. There are 3 octagonal Wow. There are 3 octagonal. Is that right?
I think that works. It conveys.
Sounds
I know what
wrong.
you mean by it.
It sounds wrong?
There are 3 8-sided tables. Okay, this is kind of the fate equivalent of saying I should have got a fate point.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I already know where you're going. I was gonna suggest it as a possibility to spend an inspiration and have a loaded die or 3.
Well, no, that wasn't my point.
Oh, sorry.
I thought I should have earned an inspiration for the thing with the halfling. I thought that was very much in my character.
Yeah, it's going to be something I'm going to get better at with time, but that was definitely a really good job of role-playing, and it went into your character's backstory a lot as well.
Yeah.
So I think an inspiration there is due.
Okay. So
Probably Gabrielle for dropping off a big chunk of donation money and just blowing our cover big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
Oh, yeah.
I thought Gabrielle did
secretive about that?
well, she didn't say where you're going. So there was some cover blown, but
in the
not.
features, Scott, Melody's not going to mention she's a Fist of Amira unless I say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. I'll try to remember that, and if I forget it, feel free to literally slap me right at the moment.
I will drive right over.
I will make a correction, verbally I meant, and I'll make a correction right at the moment if for some reason, I take liberty with my storytelling to announce something that you're not really wanting to announce.
Right. Okay. Appreciate it.
other possible titles for this episode were available for voting on the Facebook fan page, and they were, Seems I Need to Work on My Dreams. I'm going to go Blunder over there. Major struggles are with her silence. They might be surreptitious. Those prayers, them the good ones. And, yes, unagi.